Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
Feeling great today, Michelle. How's everything with you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Lindsay, do you ever make assumptions about something and they turn out to be false?
I would like to say no, but of course, everyone does, right? Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, sometimes I may prejudge a book or a restaurant or whatever it may be, right?
So many things are counter to what we imagine at first. You know,
Yep.
often the best food is in the smallest hole in the wall.
True.
That
That's
doesn't
true.
have a fancy front to it as a restaurant, right? It's just like maybe 3 or 4 seats but it's really good food, right?
Yes, exactly. So today we're going to answer a listener question about a similar word, and we're going to talk about how these two words work. So this question came to us from YouTube, and it was a two-parter actually. So it's from Anananananai, and the question was, can you explain the different explain the words jarring and presumption? Lindsay mentioned them in the episode. Thank you. So we actually did jarring already. But we wanted to do presumption. Guys, towards the end of the episode, we will let you know where to find the episode where we talk about the word jarring.
Yes. Yeah. So make sure you hang out to the end. And while you're here, hit follow. Make sure you are following All Ears English so you don't miss a single episode.
Yes.
So yeah, we answered the first listener's question about the word jarring in that other episode, but we're coming back now, Michelle, to presumption.
Presumption.
Yes. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so we're going to actually talk about the words presumption and assumption. Yeah, since they're so widely used and they have so much in common. So, Lindsay, let's start with presumption. So what is presumption?
Yeah. I know. Well, these words are in meaning. I'm actually curious to know what the difference is because they feel very similar in a lot of ways. So presumption is where you believe something or acted in a way without proof, right? There's a level of arrogance to presumption. You know, this could also be related to the legal system, like the presumption of innocence. In the U.S., you're presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Right. The presumption of innocence. Yeah. Or she acted under the presumption that her rent wasn't going to increase this year. So that's what she thought would happen. And she presumed that it wasn't going to increase. But we don't know for sure.
Or he made a lot of presumptions about the job that weren't even remotely true. And so he was quite unhappy. So these are assumptions that happen beforehand, would you say, Michelle? Is that kind of it? Like
could be before it. Yeah, right. Exactly. So you believe that something will happen, but you don't really have, the proof.
Yeah. And of course, we've heard people say the word presumptuous as the adjective to describe themselves. Like you might hear someone say, I don't mean to be presumptuous, but XYZ, right? So just to be aware of that as an adjective, but we can't say assumptuous, can we?
No, there's no, there's no form like that. Maybe, we don't say assumptuous.
I've never heard of that before.
No.
No, I don't think it's a thing. So after we come back from the break in just a minute, we're going to go into assumptions, assuming things, right? Okay, Michelle, let's talk about assumption and how it might be different from presumption.
Yes, exactly. So this is also these words are very close. This is also believing something without proof, right? Lindsay, we can't say this joke, but there's kind of a joke about how to spell this word. Do you know?
Oh!
When
I know
you
the joke.
assume, you make a right.
Yes,
you guys can look that up. Look up assume a spelling joke, and you can find it. But let's talk about the difference here. I mean, that's, it's almost the same. But to me, this is a little less formal than a presumption. And it doesn't necessarily have the same negative a connotation. Like it sounds less entitled. Does that make sense?
I agree. It's more dramatic. Presumption is more dramatic, right? Less entitled. I do agree with that. There's a little less drama about this.
Right. And the other thing is assumption is more common, right?
Yeah.
It's not really presumption. It kind of sounds a little bit more legal. Assumption is more just everyday life. So, for example, I made an assumption that the schedule would be full. I should have called you first, right?
Yes.
So to make an assumption, I could, it just wouldn't have sounded right if I said I made a presumption.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. This is the difference. It's a little hard to explain. My assumption was that her flight was going to arrive late. I really wouldn't say my presumption was that no, that's too formal sounding. Right.
Right. Or I'm working under the assumption that we will have met our goals by the end of the month. Yeah. So, you could say, instead of I made an assumption, you could say like I'm acting under the presumption, right? So like, for example, earlier up, I said she acted under the presumption that her rent wasn't going to increase this year. So, but I think that that's kind of a whole expression, to act under the presumption.
Yeah,
right?
maybe the difference is if let's say we're roommates and I tell you, I acted under the assumption that our rent would stay the same. I'm telling that to you because we're roommates. It's more casual. But maybe it wouldn't have to be true. But maybe if I go to the landlord and I sit down in their office and I'm trying to be more formal, I could say I acted under the presumption that our rent wouldn't increase. So I'm asking for an exception. Maybe that could be. So presumption, more formal. Right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So again, presumption, like Lindsay said, more formal, a little less common. I don't think that I use presumption too much, but I might say assumption more frequently, more every day. Also, presumption, it could sound a little bit more arrogant, a little bit more negative. Oh, I presume that you will be paying for our trip, right? It's a little more entitled.
For sure. Whereas assumption is less formal. It's a little more common. It's more everyday speak, everyday language, talking to anyone. And it doesn't necessarily have a negative connotation. It doesn't have to. Right.
And then, it doesn't have to. It could, but it depends on the context. And then there's presume and assume, right? So
Just
a
the
verb
verbs.
form. So like, for example, I presume you will be bringing over all of our dinners.
Or I assume you heard from the bank.
If we switch these up, like I assume you will be bringing over all of our dinners, that would sound fine. A little less arrogant, maybe.
Yeah, it would be okay. All right, taking away the arrogance. And then what if we swapped in, I presume you heard from the bank? That's a little much. Unless you're trying to be fancy and you're trying to say something on a pedestal. I presume you heard from the bank. Right? It's just
and I do think, Lindsay, something that you said earlier on is important here, because if you think about it, presumption, it has the word pre in it, right? So like you said, it may be more for something like in the future. I presume this will happen. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily connected, but it does make more sense to me. If I say I presume you heard from the bank, to me it sounds a little awkward.
Exactly. And I feel like it comes up more in movies too, especially movies dealing with like royalty or something, or cartoon characters that are supposed to be elevated in a society. I presume this, you presume this. It's got an elevated nature to it.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, totally. So we are going to do a role play now so you can kind of see how this would fit together. So here we are in a business meeting.
Okay. Let's do it. All right.
Okay, so I presume you will be on time this time?
Yeah, of course.
Thanks.
And will you be staying late?
Well, I was under the assumption that we would be out by 8.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so the way you asked me that, I had a weird reaction.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't know. It was just very snooty.
You're elevating yourself a little bit in that sense. You're separating yourself from me a little bit, distance-wise, social distance-wise. Yeah, you're saying more than just, I think you'll be on time. I believe you'll be on time. Right?
Yes.
You're putting a little distance there.
Right, a little distance there. And then what did I say later on?
Later, you said I was under the assumption that we would be out by 8. Right?
I could have said presumption. I acted under the presumption, but again, it's a little less neutral sounding.
Yeah, there's a lot here. This is a really good question. And I love this episode. I love comparing presumption and assumption because they're kind of the same, but they're also not the same at all. Right. And that's what I love. Yeah. Guys, go back and listen. If anything confused you today, go check out 24.99 English vocabulary for your most jarring moments. That is the first answer to the first part of the question from our amazing YouTube listener. Check out that episode. Right, Michelle?
Yeah. So takeaways for today. Again, I think if you are really trying to decide between the two, assumption is probably going to be the safer bet for most of, your everyday situations.
I agree.
I would say that that's kind of the key takeaway for today. But listen, you'll hear it in movies, you'll hear it in, especially probably if you are watching maybe like a court, like a legal movie, like a courtroom movie or a show, you might hear presumption of innocence and all of these things.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
The only one that I would say does work as a social connector is using presumptuous to refer to yourself.
Oh, like I don't mean to be
presumptuous. Like, for example, let's say you just got engaged, Michelle, and we start talking about your wedding, and I'm assuming I'm going to be in your wedding party, right? Or I say something that alludes to the fact that I assume I'll be in your wedding party. I might want to back up socially and say, oh, I don't mean to be presumptuous, right? I might add that in. It's like, it's a way of pulling ourselves back and checking our place in terms of connection. It's a polite thing to say. A lot
right. Or actually, I mean, on the other end, you could say, like, let's say somebody asks you out on a date, but they ask you in a way that makes it seem like, oh, they think you're going to say yes, or they know you'll say yes. You might say like, all right, so which restaurant are we going to? And you could say like, that's a little presumptuous.
So it's so there is some way we can have fun with the word presumptuous by pushing people back, checking our own social place. So there is some connection moments built into these words. There are for sure. Okay.
Definitely.
Interesting.
This is fun.
Yeah. Really interesting. Really good stuff today, Michelle. And I'll see you back on All Ears English very soon. All right.
All right. You too. Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.